Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're back yet again on the dueling wave with yet another Genesys banger, baby. They're never gonna stop, never, until Konami ruins it, which is, there's probably a more than 50% likelihood of something like that happening. Cue the intro.
Draw your last pathetic card so I can end this, Yugi.
My grandpa's deck has no pathetic cards, Kaiba, but it does contain the unstoppable
Dueling wave. Genesys is literally the best thing to happen to Yu-Gi-Oh! In years, maybe ever. So, does that mean this format is perfect? Absolutely not. There's still some issues that need to be hammered out. We've had about a month and a half of good testing done. Nothing too big, no YCSs yet. They're coming next year, supposedly. But we've had enough testing to kind of understand that there is some sort of a meta. We understand that there are certain decks that are top decks in this format, and we know that some decks are worse than other decks. There's also decks, just like in the TCG, that can produce a non-game or unfun scenarios. And so here we're going to just go over the list real quick, the current Genesys points list, and sort of, I don't know, I don't want to say it's a wish list, I don't want to say it's a predictions list. I just think I'm going to go through it and just say kind of what I think needs to happen, because some things were way too overhit and some things were way too underhit, as I'm sure you've seen in other videos on YouTube. So let's get into this in the middle, because points are on this side and this is, the names are on this side, and I don't know where exactly, because any corner I put myself in wouldn't really work. So we're just going to put myself in the middle, because there's enough space right down the middle that I think we'll be all right. So anyway, we're going to speed run this because there's 500 cards, right? We're not going to go through all 500. We're just going to go through some stuff that's really, really painfully obvious. So currently, the things that I see that really need to be addressed and that need to be sort of removed, not removed, but I guess we'll just go through it. We'll just go through it. What am I doing? Why am I delaying? No delay, no more delay, baby. Let's just keep going. So unless I'm tripping balls, maybe Assault Synchron. I think Assault Synchron doesn't need any points. I also think Astral Karibo doesn't need any points, but I'm sure he's part of some sort of crazy FTK that is nonsensical and doesn't need to exist. I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments down below if that's the case. Why is Astral Karibo on here? Why has he got 3 points? We got Atlantean Dragoons, right? I don't think that Atlantean Dragoon should be at 40, and then Neptibus also have 33 points. I think this deck is way too hit. It relies entirely on links. Not entirely, but the deck is severely hit, sort of like Raid Raptor is. I would like to see Atlanteans get hit in the way that Raid Raptor is, to see how good they can be, and then if next list, if they're too powerful in the next month or month and a half, we can scale them back. But I think you should be able to run 3 Neptibus and 3 Dragoons with no non-engine, right? Because the deck struggles going second in the real game because of non-engine requirements. I think if we take down the non-engine available to them, I think this deck would be a lot more fair. I think this is way too harsh. I would like to see Beatrice come down just a little bit. I think BA deserves to be thrown a bone, and I think any card that's really just devastating when it gets milled to the graveyard, I think those should just have enough points so that it doesn't conflict with Beatrice. I think it's absolutely asinine that Rangominiad has 31 points, but Beatrice has 100 points. I feel like those should be opposite. And then, of course, the cards that Beatrice can send, those should be hit to enough points where like she can't use them. Kind of like how the Gossip Shadow is. Am I tripping, or why is Chinook on here but has 0 points? Was that part of the last update? I don't know. So Branded Fusion. I know, Branded guy here. Of course, I'm going to talk about Branded. So far, I've talked about BA and Branded, my 2 decks. Well, anyway, Branded Fusion. I think the only adjustment I would like to see to Branded be Branded Fusion go down to 30, Mirror Jade go down to 30, and Lubellion go down to 30, so that you can still run 3 of the chicks, the Cartesia and the Quem, to have some sort of ratio of like 2 to 1, since they're both at 3 points. I think not being able to run the deck in its totality, especially with the fact that it doesn't have Thrust, it doesn't have Fright for Patchwork, it doesn't have any of the Nadir, it doesn't have anything available to it. It entirely relies on Cartesia and Quem. And if you don't have those 2 and you just have the one Branded Fusion, I mean, the deck is honestly absolutely atrocious. Now, if that's the point of this format, to not have certain things that were meta real recently playable, that's understandable. I just think that Branded is not one of those decks that is super unhealthy for the game. The Puppet Lock was, but Branded in its entirety, I don't think it is. I think the Bestials were correctly hit. I think those should stay the same. I think those cards were way too powerful, especially for a format like this. Low-hanging fruit time. Yes, Dimensional Shifter should be probably at 33 to 50 to possibly even more, maybe 60, 70. I mean, maybe screw it, 100 points. Low-hanging fruit, yes, we all know Shifter's terrible, should not be in the game. That goes without saying. I hope Konami definitely addresses it because it's a stupid card that shouldn't exist. Maybe a controversial opinion, but I'd like to see Zeus go down to possibly 10 points because this card really is only good in like Xyz decks, and it's a really good going second tool. I think that should be available to more people, more decks, because we have currently an issue with you don't run as many hand traps and whatnot in your deck because there are a lot of points. But we do like board breakers in this format. But a lot of board breakers I think are just a little bit too expensive. And I think Zeus, maybe a controversial opinion, but I like Zeus. I'd like to see Zeus go down just a little bit. Another card I'd like to see possibly go down is just Fright for a Patchwork. I think 33 is a lot. I know it's a search card, but I think Fluffles, I think they should be thrown a bone. And if this is a generic engine and other stuff, I think that's okay. I don't think it should go without points, but I think 33 is too much. I think maybe 20 would be really nice because Fluffles being such a going second heavy deck, I think it does need the tools to be able to play. I think Fright for a Patchwork's not hurting anybody. I think that should definitely come off, along with a few other cards that are similar to the vein of Fright for Patchwork, such as like Melody of the Awakening Dragon, which I addressed last video in the top 5 underrated decks. Check it out up top if you haven't already, especially after this video. But there's some cards that are searchers, yes, but hit for really no reason. I think these Glad Beast cards, I don't think they should have the points that they do. I know that they've tested this format and whatnot privately for the last 2 years. Maybe the Gladiator Beasts were just insane, but I think clearly they've shown that they're not that good. I think taking some of these points off is fine, especially because if you run Gladiator Proving Ground, which is their searcher at 3, you can't run literally Gyzaris or Tamer Editor or Rejection, which is kind of just stupid. I think a deck should be allowed, especially a deck like Gladiator Beast, to have most of their engine available to them, but they can't run any non-engine because they're such a heavy combo deck. I think the Dark World cards, in my personal opinion, I think the deck, as annoying as it is to play because it just plays for so long, I actually think that most of the Dark World cards can come off the list. I think all you have to do is leave 1 point for Grapha and then have Silva stay at 100. And I think, and I mean Grapha the fusion. The rest of this stuff can come off because I don't understand. I mean, Dark World doesn't run non-engine anyway. I would like to see Interrupted Kaiju Slumber possibly become the least expensive board breaker because I think that 33 is way too much. I don't think anyone will play it at 33. You're not going to waste that many. Would you rather run Kaiju Slumber or 2 Ash Blossoms? I mean, it's just like nonsense, right? Masterpiece or Diagram come off the list. Why I would advocate for Masterpiece to come off the list is because most of the time, like 95% of the time, you actually never run more than 1. The only case you would run 2 or more is because you'd run Pot of Desires, and Pot of Desires has points. I think if Diagram stays on the list, I would like to see True Draco, because it's a terrible deck at the moment, I would like to see them get 3 Diagram and then still be able to run Masterpiece. I think that currently, the deck is 2 hit. It doesn't have any of the modern amenities that a deck needs to have, like a 1-card combo or just, explosive, momentous plays. It plays a really interesting control game, and currently it can't even run any of its floodgates, which is what was the cause of it winning in the past. So I think without floodgates, I don't see why Masterpiece has to even be on this list. I know, like this is a deck historically I've played, but this is just like nonsensical to have a deck that doesn't do anything to be hit. I think Miscellaneous Source and the Dinosaur engine, I get it. I mean, this engine can result in some really, really disgusting stuff, but I think I don't think that Fossil Dig and Miscellaneous Source should be at such a case where you can't run both. I think if you don't want like people to run dinos and you don't want the uninteractivity of Miscellaneous Source, I would be fine with Fossil Dig coming down to possibly like 33 and still leaving Miscellaneous Source at something, maybe like 50, right? So if you want to run 1 Fossil Dig, 1 Misc, you can, but and then have some points left over. But like you should be able to run 3 Fossil Dig if you don't run miscellaneous source. I think that's completely fine. I don't understand why the harsh hit on dinos. Maybe I'm not seeing something, but the deck is really, really. I mean, is it really any better than some of the other combo decks floating around? I mean, I think truly the only reason this deck even does anything in Genesis, I know that one guy did well with it, is because people one-tricked this deck forever. Like when the structure deck came out, they've been playing that since then and not anything else. And once again, Neptibus, I mean, Atlanteans, I think they should become a playable deck. I don't think they should lose their links like they have, which is a good thing. But then also to not be able to be playable at all in this format is kind of crazy. Come on, Konami. A lot of nasty stuff. I would like to see here, I would like them to add that rank 5 that Vanquish Soul goes into, the Masquerade that can like hand loop you and negate you. That card's stupid. These cards that they keep making that cheat out these nasty number monsters are just stupid. Just stop making them, Konami. Those cards were made to be like anime game winners. All they are now is like just end board pieces. It's really stupid. We need to stop doing this. Of course, I think Outer Entity as a thought should come back because the card is unbelievably fair and it should probably be 0 points. Just kidding. Come on. We're not that crazy. As a thought can stay banned forever. There's a reason that this is in its name. I've heard that Konami has already talked about Pot of Extravagance, that it will join this list. I hope that it doesn't get more than 10 points because currently I don't think the card is better than, obviously Prosperity is the best one. We've talked about that on the channel in the past. Pot of Greed, oh my God. Can't believe it's legal. And then Pot of Desires at 20. I think it does make sense that I think they're going to go 40, 30, 20, and then Extravagance to 10. Pra's Disciple. I'd like to see Dark Dragoon come down at least a little bit. I don't think you should be able to run multiples. But I think maybe like somewhere over 50, maybe 60 points, just to like, because this card isn't as bad as some of these other cards. I mean, he's a negate, yes, and he's the most weak towers monster that you can get, but, you know, and it's sometimes annoying, but really, I just don't see why this card is so, you know, set aside. Like, oh my God, this card is not, like, you can't compare this card to like Floodgates or, you know, VFD. It's literally just one negate. Plenty of decks have a negate, and this card is really hard to get into in most decks. And if something else pops up where like this, it easily cheats this thing out, then we hit that, right? Or we hit this card again, right? But I think we should let this kind of have its time in the sun because it is such a cool card, so iconic. Come on, Konami. It's not like, if we can have VFD playable, we can take down Dragoon a little bit to be somewhat playable, right? Can anyone explain to me why Sales Ban is at 100? I know it wasn't on the original list. Why is it at 100? Like, what did Sales Ban do? Why is it worse than like Call by the Grave and those other cards? Because I thought it was supposed to be a weaker version of that. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. I'd like to see Subterra Guru and Hidden City somewhat come off the list because currently like Subterras are unplayable. They don't have their floodgates. So I think they should be given a chance to at least show something off, along with Sword Soul too. Sword Soul's, I think, a needlessly hit. Chi Xiao at 33, Emergence at 33. So you can run what, 2 Emergence, 1 Chi Xiao, and no, you can't because Moye's 3 and Long One's 5. Without the Tenyis, I mean, this deck is a lot worse. I think this deck should be completely unlocked. Sword Soul is the ultimate test of like fair, really good deck. Tier can rot in hell for all I care. They could give all these cards 101 points and I wouldn't even bat an eye. Konami, please actually do that. Yeah, Melody of Awakening Dragon. This card should not be hit at all. This should be allowed. Like, this is crazy. This card is not on equal footing with some of the other searchers on this list. Like, Melody of Awakening Dragon at 33. Stake Your Soul 0. Thunder King Ryo, I'd like to see a little bit more points. Annoying Floodgate on legs. Searchable now. Kind of gross. I'd like to see the Dragon Rulers, honestly, not come off the list, but just get knocked down just a little bit, maybe to 5 points apiece opposed to 7. I'd like to see Tour Guide off this list, from 3 to 0. Transaction Rollback feels like it's too low, but you know, it hasn't done anything yet, and it does do some cool stuff. It's just, this is just a mess waiting to happen. I think Vanquish Soul definitely needs to be addressed a little bit. I think, honestly, with how good the deck is, I think just put Holly Sue to 33 apiece and call it a day. And what that does is, functionally, you don't have any more really like great generic hand traps. So then you have to run basically the dark ones like Meister and DD Crow and You might run like Emissary of House of Wax because it's a fire to give you like some sort of, you would definitely run like the Rescue Ace Impulse and stuff. It would make the deck so much worse but it like is basically unhit, which would be really, really cool to see. I think Konami, please address Vanquish Soul, but do not hit the deck like you have in some of these other instances where like, oh my god, you can't play the deck. You would still have Holly Sue. You'd still have some of those generic hand traps to be able to interact, so you're not getting killed going second. And I think this is quite honestly it. Maybe just get rid of the ninja hits. I think they're kind of dumb. I know there might be an FTK, but just hit whatever causes the FTK, not just hitting ninjas, because ninjas suck. And that's all I have really for this, what I think that's currently on the list that needs to be adjusted. I think what more I'd like to see is, let's get some of these unaffected monsters I addressed in a previous video, like Super Quants, like Luna Light, Rongo is disgusting. I mean, it being at 31 is crazy. It should be at 100 points. I wouldn't even be mad if it was 101. I think that these unaffected monsters, they just need some little bit of addressing. I don't think Super Quants or Luna Light are bad. 50 points along those lines, you lose a little bit of non-engine and whatnot. I think that that would help in terms of making this game become a lot more healthy. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your guys' support. Ever since we started again with this Genesis content, I'm surprised. I mean, we've been doing really well. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys commenting. I appreciate the discourse that we're having and the support. I really do feel it. Thank you guys. Let's keep this going. Let's keep let's have Wave Gang continue to the moon. That's 2,000 subs. So if you haven't subscribed, please help us out by doing so. Like the video and comment down below what else you'd like to see and what you kind of are looking forward to from Genesis. And will you be at the Genesis YCS? Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, I'll see you next time.